Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Faye, and welcome to Blue Swan News. Blue Swan News is a new media outlet where we're going to be discussing some very life changing issues, some very personal issues, and maybe some insight that I can possibly share with you on how to overcome some things. I've been through a lot of things in the past 3 years. I've come into some things and come out of some things, and it's really been a tough road. But I know that through it all, that God has given me strength. He's given me His ability, His power to overcome areas that I thought was impossible, to look at my life in a different way and not in a way that my life is over. So today I want to talk to you about what are core values. And the reason why I feel that core values are important is because I'm 57 years old, and core values really stem from your upbringing and life experiences. And so when you go through life, you develop certain types of values in your life that's important to you. And along with those values comes behaviors and actions. And sometimes life can throw you a curve, which many of you probably well know. I know I've had many curves thrown at me, but this last part of my life here at age 57, I really got knocked off my feet to the point wherein I felt like I couldn't recover. I felt like I wanted to die. I gave up on life, and it just didn't seem like I had an identity anymore. It didn't seem like I knew who I was anymore, which direction to go in. My brain felt like it was actually empty. So I had a feeling of loss, a feeling of not knowing what to do anymore. And I feel that because I was going through those things, that I lost those core values somewhere along, that reestablishing new core values in my life was important for me to get back up and move along again. Because without core values, we can't make decisions. We don't have good decision making processes. We can't align ourselves with truth. We can't establish ourselves. We're miserable. There's so many things that come with not having core values. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is what are core values and why is it important to have core values. So I welcome you again to Blue Swan News. You can email me at blueswannews@gmail.com, and hopefully what I have to share with you today will be something that you can apply to your life. I will be uploading this information online. I will be uploading the presentation, PowerPoint presentation that I put together, that I'm going to be talking with you today. And so if you're interested in downloading that because you want to go back and listen to something else or to write something down, it will be available for you on YouTube. And so I encourage you to listen carefully and just to think about where you're at in your life at this particular time. I do give credit to Teal Swan, where I'll be sharing with you a lot of her talking points, as well as Martina McGowan, as well as Ann Loher. And I just pulled all this information together and formalized it to bring a presentation to you. So I cannot take full credit, even though I will be sharing some personal things with you in between everything that we'll talk about today. So let's get started. I want to discuss with you today, what are core values? What exactly is core values? Core values is a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment and what is important to one's life. So that is what a core value is. It's your principles. It's your behavior. It's your judgment about decisions that you make that's important to your life. And in establishing core values, you must always remember to always be your authentic self. And being your authentic self requires you to be vulnerable, transparent, have integrity, and to align yourself unconditionally to those behaviors. Without being authentic to yourself, you can never have true core values. You have to be true to yourself. Your values are what you really want to be and how you want to be seen by others. You have to fight to be your authentic self. You have to run towards your core values, and you have to fight to be authentic. It doesn't matter what anyone else feels, thinks, or says about who you feel that you are. It's important about how you feel who you are. And so why are core values important? Core values are important because it supports vision. It's a shared the culture and reflects what an individual values are. They are the essence of the individual's identity. Remember I said earlier that I lost my identity. I lost who I was. I can no longer understand who I was because I lost my core values. So the principles, they are the principal belief or the philosophy of who you are as a person, who you are as an individual, and it helps you to make wise decisions. So that is why it's important to have core values. What are some of the beliefs that consist with core values and why? For example, I can remember my core values coming up was being connected to God, having a belief system, a spiritual foundation that was established for me by my mother, who gave us and introduced us to Christ. So that became a core value throughout my entire life, and it's still part of my core value. But even at that, as I grew older and as I went through different traumas in my life and different experiences in my life, and especially after these past 3 years, I even lost that as a core value in my life because it felt like God was nowhere to be found. And I felt lost. I felt like He was nowhere near me. And that was an important core value. And like I said, it still is an important core value. So it may be a spiritual belief or a religious belief that is a part of your core value. And so you have to think about how deep and how important your spirituality is in connection and in alignment with who you are. It could be education. Speaking about education, I started my formal education by the time I was 45 years old. I didn't graduate high school. I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade, pregnant with my first oldest son, and I didn't go back to school to obtain my diploma until 13 years later. But I received my diploma, and then it was some years before I decided I wanted to go back and get a formal education. Like I said, I was 45 years old when I made that decision. And I started out, I got my associate's degree in paralegal studies. I continued on and got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice and forensic psychology. And from there, I went on and obtained my master's degree in criminal justice and law. I went to 1 year of law school, and I started my PhD in clinical psychology. And so that is still something that I want to obtain, is my doctorate degree. So education became a core value in my life. But again, when I went through a particular trauma in my life, everything came to a halt, even the core value of my education. But it's still a core value that I do cherish, and I do plan to obtain my doctorate degree. Another area, core value in my life was family. I grew up in a big family. My mother and father were business people, and my mother had 9 children. My oldest sister had 8 children. She passed at age 35. My parents took in all 8 of her children, and we all grew up together as brothers and sisters, and we're still close today. We do live in different parts of the country. We don't see each other as often as we like, but we do try to stay in touch. So family was an important part of my life growing up. And then, of course, I got married at an early age, and I had 4 children of my own, and now I have 11 grandchildren. But different turns came about in my life, and I'll get more into that a little bit later in another presentation, that even made family became such a distant part in my life, and it didn't seem like family was even a core value in my life anymore. So I'll get into a little bit more of that later, but family could be a core value in your life, as well as education, as well as spirituality. Another core value of importance could be relationships. I can talk all day about relationships, but that's for another day as well. But relationships could be a core value. That significant other, that spouse, your parents, your friends, co-workers, whatever it may be, those are core values. Another core value could be your career. When I started my education, I had a mindset that I wanted to be a judge. I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to help people. I had so many ideas about my career in obtaining my education. But again, life took a huge turn, and everything that I believed in my belief system, seemed like it all just got washed away. And I found myself in what I call no man's land. I found myself wandering. I found myself feeling lost, at a loss about what my identity was and who I was as a person. So that is what core values is. That is why core value is important. A lot of times, people make money as a core value, and money could most certainly be a core value, and there could be avenues that you take to obtain money, such as getting a career or getting a good job, or being an entrepreneur. That could be a core value to you obtaining money. It takes true commitment to stabilize your core values. And unless you find contentment in who you are as a person, you will never be able to stabilize your core values. So true contentment means, what do you want to do? How do you want to go about doing what you're doing? And this train of thought will catapult you into contentment. whatever things are good, whatever things are honest, whatever things are a good report, these are the things that we should think about. These are the things that we should be. Whatever things are good, whatever things are honest, whatever things are lovely, and whatever things are of a good report. Think on these things. So, who is your authentic self? Do you know? Do you really know who your authentic self is? Or do you just kind of maybe go through life wondering, what is your authentic self? The real core values of you are, again, what you want to do, how you want to go about being who you are. For instance, you might want to let motherhood be a core value. So why is motherhood a core value? Because you want to be a responsible, loving, and supportive and caring mother or father. You want to bring a child into the world to give them the security and the direction that they need to be productive citizens in life. That may be a core value for you, being a good parent. Let's say you might want to be a musician. That may be a core value for you. Why is that a core value? You want to achieve the skills and be committed to effectively playing an instrument so that you can play well with others to make wonderful creative music that other people can enjoy. That could be a core value for you. One of the things that's a core value for me is being a volunteer. I do volunteer work as a guardian lighten, and I'm also looking at some other avenues in being an advocate. I'm a certified victim service advocate. I have other things that I'm really interested in becoming a volunteer. So that could be a core value in your life as well. So I just wanted to share a few examples of what, some things that you can take a look at as far as core values are concerned. Matching your core values with the real things you want to give. When you match your core values with the real things that you want to be, it brings you to a level of peace and joy and happiness and contentment. And if you find yourself not having peace, not having joy, not having happiness, it could be that your values are not in line with your beliefs. So we have to bring our behaviors and our core values in alignment so that we can find the contentment that we're looking for, so that we can find the happiness that we're looking for in life. So what is alignment? And alignment is the importance of alignment. Alignment is important to our beliefs. Alignment is the position of agreement and an alliance to whatever you're in agreement with. Alignment could be something far as an organization, an object, a cultural belief, a spiritual belief. So it could be something that you're in agreement with. And when you're in agreement with something, you're saying that I'm aligning myself with this situation. It could be someone. For instance, it could be a parent. It could be a business partner. It could be a spouse or a significant other. It could be a professor. It could be your children that you're in alignment with, that you're in agreement with. It could be somewhere. You could be living in America and you could be aligned with the beliefs or the Constitution of America. You're saying that I'm an American And so I'm in line with American beliefs. You may not agree with everything that America is doing at this point in time, but if you look back over the foundational principles and the Constitution, you can make the decision whether you're in alignment with America or not. It could be the rainforest, it could be Mars, or it could be Mount Everest that you're in alignment with. Whatever you align yourself with is saying that you are in agreement with that person or with that situation, and your actions, your behaviors, your beliefs are in alignment with that. It's like a plumb line. Think about a plumb line. The reason for a plumb line is to bring a balance to a structure. So if you take a plumb line and you drop it, you want that plumb line to fall exactly on the point of reference. And so when you have a point of reference and you're in alignment with that reference, you're saying that you're in alliance with that point of reference. So your core values have to match your alignment. And once you are aligned with your core values, then your actions and behaviors will follow that alignment. Okay, so an effective method of identifying your core values is to picture your future. What does your future look like for you? After I went through a turmoil about 3 years ago, I was in such a state of confusion. I was uncertain about my future because I thought my future was one thing. But when I went through a traumatic incident and a destructive downfall in my relationships, in my home, in my environment, I felt like I didn't have a future. So it's important to have an identity of where you see yourself in your future. And when you can have and visualize what your future can be like, then you will align yourself to your future with those core values. So take the time to reflect on the many different aspects of your life and think about, where do you see yourself as you continually and gracefully age over this period in your life? What are the things that are most important to you? And what do you hope to accomplish in life? Martina McGowan, she wrote this, and she gave me something to think about. What is important in my life at this particular time in my life? And sometimes we have to stop and think about, okay, that part of my life is gone, may not ever be recovered. So what's important to my life right now? What can I do? And how do I visualize and see myself at this point in time in my life? And sometimes that's what we have to do to get back in line with our core values. I want to give you some examples of some core values, and maybe some of these things can be helpful to you. They were helpful to me to give me something to think about. So if it looks like that I am going to now put on my glasses, and I hope I don't spook you when I do this, because I need to read this to you. So be patient with me. Some examples of core values could be adventure. Now, adventure was never really a core value for me, okay? But now that my life has changed, I'm going to allow adventure to be a core value to me, for me in my life. So, adventure. Are you a thrill seeker? I've never been a thrill seeker, but I think I want to be a thrill seeker now. So what does that mean to me? You know, what does being a thrill seeker and bringing some adventure into my life? If things start to feel a little stale, do you quickly feel bored? I do get bored at times. And she go on to say, if so, a sense of adventure is probably close to your heart, and you might be happier with trying new experiences and new ways of doing things every day. So adventure could be a core value. Relationships could be a core value. Valuing relationships includes finding all relationships important, not only romantic kind. If you value loving relationships, it means those with family members or friends. Having this as an important value to you means that you hold your interaction with your loved ones to a great importance and you act like it. You make and take the time to make an investment into those relationships. You know, like I said earlier, family had always been a core value of mine because I came from such a large family, and I have 4 kids and I have 11 grandchildren, and I was married to a wonderful man, and so we had get-togethers and we had parties and birthday parties. I never valued those things until I, at that time, did marry my husband Greg, and he showed me the importance of these things. But when I went through such a traumatic, breakup of my marriage, I lost family as being a core value. And that's something that I'm still, working on, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everything is okie dokie and okay within my family. But family, again, has always been important. I hope that it will continue to be something that's important in my life, but it's something that I have to reestablish in my life as a core value. So spirituality, again, my spirituality took a fall, and I found myself not being as close to God and not fellowshipping with the Lord as much as I used to. So spirituality, if you aligned with certain religious or spiritual practices, then the beliefs of that practice are probably very dear to your heart. You may find greater fulfillment in spending some of your free time studying, practicing, and going into spiritual exploration of some sort. It's not up to me to decide for you what that might be. For some, it might be meditation. For others, it might be going to church. What I've incorporated into my spirituality is yoga. And so I enjoy doing yoga, and I invite the Lord with me when I do yoga as part of my spirituality. I study the Word of God. I listen to the Word of God. So that's something that's important to me. But I incorporate yoga into my life, and I love it. I just love it. Being creative. I've always been a creative person. My family and people who know me will tell you that I've always come up with all different kinds of creativity things that I've done. I've written children's book. I've written an adult book for women. I've come up with creating my own perfumes and own soaps, and I've done a little bit of everything as far as creativity is concerned. So being creative may be a core value for you. Creativity, creative thinking helps the world in many ways, but it's not a core value for everyone. Okay, so if you enjoy discovering and creating new things, perhaps it is for you. Try thinking outside of the proverbial box while you are actively participating in things that you enjoy, such as poetry and music or painting. So poetry, I have 50 poems that I have written that I'm going to, one day collectively put it together and do a book of poetry. So being creative is near and dear to my heart. I love it. I will always love it. It brings me happiness. It brings me joy. I delight in it. I love thinking about new ideas of how I can be creative. So that's a core value in my life. Making a mark in the world may be a core value for you. Um, Most people will say that in the end, they just want others to think of them kindly or be remembered warmly. There are many ways that you can make a mark in the world. And if this is really important to you, you can help others through volunteer work, like I say what I'm doing. And I'm not particularly doing volunteer work to make a mark in the world. It's just something I enjoy doing. I've always, even when I was young, I enjoyed the elderly, and I still enjoy the elderly, and that's part of my volunteering, as well as children. Like I said, I'm a guardian lighten, so I put what's in the best interest of those who have been neglected and sexually abused, and helping children to being removed from those types of situations. You can create something new to help the world at large, or you can be a positive influence on others. And that is by Martina McGowan. And so she gives us some wonderful things of how we can be, how we can bring core values into our life. So these are just some examples of core values that you can incorporate into your life. Happy people have no incompatibilities about their values. Happy people are people who know what their core values are. They are strongly established in their core values. They can't be swayed from their core values, and they just enjoy life, and if we find ourselves not being happy and, just going through life sort of humdrum, maybe we want to think about, is our core values matching up with our behaviors and our actions? And sometimes if you feel like let's say for instance, you have a round hole and you keep trying to push a square peg through a round hole, that's not a good core value, because you can never get a square peg into a round hole. So, and sometimes we keep bumping our heads against that wall, trying to get past and get through that wall, and it just doesn't happen, and you find yourself miserable. Martin Luther King said, if we are to go forward, we must go backward and rediscover those precious values. That all reality hinges on moral foundations, and that all reality has spiritual control. That is by Martin Luther King. Okay, so developing a system of alignment with your core values. So I want to take a few moments to describe, or I want to talk about peak moments in detail in helping you to develop a system of alignment. And these are some of the things that you can think about. Think about and discuss what values are recognizable at the time of those particular peak moments, such as being outdoors, working with people to develop their potential, and being adventurous. That could be something that you can align yourself with as part of your core values. Pick the value or values that you've identified as most important to you, both personally and professionally. Okay? Define what the chosen value or values mean to you, such as trying lots of new things, going to new places, figuratively and literally, exploring options and tinkering with new ideas to find new solutions. One thing I will share with you, I always found it difficult, and sometimes I still do, about going to new places. I pick and choose the places that I want to go to. I struggle with, identifying where I want to go or who I want to be around. And every day that I start my life out, I go through a process of, do I want to go to this place or that place? And that's just something that I continue to work on every day, is exploring new places, exploring new people. And I'm not ashamed to say that that's been a struggle in my life, because I kept myself isolated for a good part of my life. So, like I said earlier, being adventurous was not a core value for me, but it's something that I want to incorporate into my life. And I will do that slowly and gradually. And hopefully I'll find something that I really, really enjoy doing. So we want to continue this process until we define approximately about 5 core values that are important to us, and develop a system of alignment with those core values. So I guess the next question is, how do we put these core values into action? So I'm going to give you some tips on how to put these core values into actions. And before making a decision, I want you to follow 5 steps. So here we go. First, review your list of core values. So you're going to make a list of 5 core values, and you're going to review those core values. And for this exercise, it is best to have your core values written down. Then ask yourself this question about the values you have listed as number 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how well does the perceived outcome of this decision or opportunity align with value number 1? Then write down the number. Okay? Let me repeat that. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how well does the perceived outcome of this decision or opportunity align with value number 1? Then write down the number. Ask the same question about each value on your list. You're going to ask that very same question about each value on your list. Lastly, evaluate the score. Your aim is to get a score of 7 or higher on average. If your score is below 7, the decision or opportunity may not align enough with your values to be considered. So if you score below a 7, that particular core value may not be a decision that you want to make or an opportunity that you want to make as being a core value. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, check in on your core values daily. Ideally, check in on your core values every single day, maybe a few times during the day. Personally, I have a process of how I check in on my core values. I may wake up in the morning and I think about all of my core values, and I think about, say for instance, doing yoga is a core value for my life. It brings happiness to me. It strengthens my body. It brings health to my body. And it's a core value. So I think about, am I going to do yoga today? And so that's how you go through a daily process of making a decision about whether you're going to exercise today, whether you're going to do yoga today, or whether you're going to go for a walk today, or whatever the case may be in your particular situation. And so I asked myself, how well did my decision and behavior align with value number 1 today? This takes only a few minutes, yet it provides you with a good sense of what to improve on the next day. It keeps me focused and in touch with what's important in my life. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is purposely remind yourself of your values. It is important to have a visual reminder of your values. In addition to your list of values, this keep them in front of you and in the center of your mind. Here are some easy ways to remind yourself of your values on a regular basis. Create a screensaver. You don't want to underestimate the power of a Post-it. Some people take Post-its and they write all kinds of things on it. You might want to write a core value and post it on your refrigerator, post it in the bathroom on the mirror, post it in your car if you get in your car daily. This keeps your core values in front of you. Wherever you go throughout your day, put a Post-it there and list your core values and look at your core values every single day, because your core values is an intricate part of who you are as a person. And so you want to keep those in front of you. Find a picture that represents one of your core values and keep it somewhere where you can see it daily. Choose a song to represent one or more of your core values, and let that song be a song that you sing in your heart in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Whatever song that you want to sing. Let that song penetrate through your mind and through your very being as being a core value, and you'll find yourself smiling and really being happy that you're thinking about that core value as being a part of your life. Discussing values is a powerful and relevant way to remembering your core values, and so sharing your core values with others is another way of keeping them before your eyes. So that's tip number 3. And so the other more important thing that I want to talk about is what to do when others judge or oppose your core values. They're going to do it. What do you do when someone else says, when you say, well, meditating every morning and is a part of my core value, and someone may judge that. Meditating, what do you mean meditating? So what I say to that is stand your ground. Take the Florida law and say, I'm standing my ground. You may oppose or you may not like what my core values are, but these are my personal core values. And if you don't like it, you just don't like it. And don't let people deter you or change your mind about what your core values are. Again, they are your core values. So stand your ground on your core values. Here's a little saying for you. Some people are going to leave, but that's not the end of your story. That's the end of their part in your story. So I want to repeat that. Some people are going to leave, but that's not the end of your story. That's the end of their part in your story. And that is so true. Not everyone is going to stay in your life. And that's just a fact of life. People are going to come and go. Marriages are going to break up. Children are going to come and go. Co-workers are going to come and go. Friends are going to come and go. But that's not the end of your story. That's just the end of their part within your story. More importantly, what happens when you abandon your core values? So let's talk about that a little bit. When you abandon your core values, and I can honestly say this is something that I did. I abandoned my core values, and it made me isolate myself even more. I went into a state of depression. I felt seriously about giving up. I even contemplated suicide. I felt like I wanted to die because I had abandoned my core values. I isolated myself. I was in serious depression. My family was concerned about me. So when you abandon who you are as a person, you're in a critical stage in your life. And so you have to fight every single day to get yourself back, to get the authentic self back that you know you can be and that you know who you are. I cannot stress that enough, because life can really get to a point where you feel that you are about to go over on the edge and there's no return. So I can't stress enough to you to not isolate yourself and go into a state of depression, because you could go overboard. I thank God that God is in my life. I had family members such as my sisters. I had obtained good friends along the way that gave me support and encouragement, because I really felt like life was over. And I'll talk about more about me personally at another time. You have to, there is going to be a response of a fight or flight when you abandon your core values. You're either going to fight or you're going to flee. Fighting means that you're going to struggle through every pain, through every sorrow, through every misery, through every disappointment, through every letdown, through everything. You're going to fight your way back. Fleeing means you're going to get in the bed and pull the covers over your head and you're going to give up. I've been there too. I've seriously been there. That was my way of fleeing from life. I don't know, this is a topic that I am going to come back to and have a more serious talk with you about, because I feel that so many people have given up on life, and it's understandably reasons why, but it's not a good enough reason. And I'm going to share with you what stopped me from taking my life, but I'm not going to do that right now, because I want to continue on what the importance of core values and lining yourself up with those core values. Abandoning yourself. Think about a condemned house, an old, wrecked, dirty, dilapidated, condemned house, broken down, and you feel like there's no hope, and you feel empty and unhappy and discontent. This is what happens when you abandon your core values and you're no longer aligned with your core values. And it's a critical time in your life, and it's a place that you don't ever want to go. So we'll get into that more, and we'll talk more about that particular area. What happens when we self-sacrifice? You die. When you self-sacrifice, you die. Nothing's wrong with self-sacrificing sometimes, but when it's detriment to your happiness, for people who are ungrateful and unappreciative of what you are and mean to them in their lives, this is no longer self-sacrificing. people that want nothing but to bring you down, then you have to ask yourself, is self-sacrificing worth it? Is sacrificing yourself worth dealing with people who don't want what's good for you in your life? It's really all about them. It's really all about what they can get out of you. And once they get what they want out of you, they care nothing about you. So when you think about self-sacrificing, you have to really ask yourself, is it really going to something worthwhile? Adam Moore said, don't confuse self-sacrifice with selflessness. Giving to another should fill your soul, not rob it. I'm going to repeat that. Don't confuse self-sacrifice with giving to another as being selflessness. Giving to another should fill your soul, not rob your soul. Iyanla Vanzant said, when you sacrifice yourself for other people, you make them a thief because they are stealing from you what you need and they don't even know it. They don't even know that they're stealing from you. When you sacrifice yourself for other people, you make them a thief because they are stealing from you what you need and they don't even know it. Again, there's nothing wrong with self-sacrificing. But when you self-sacrifice, you really need to take more time and think about why you're self-sacrificing and is it worth it? The cause is why something is happening. The effect is what happened. Cause and effect. You've heard of cause and effect before. So the cause is why something happened. The effect is what happened. So for example, the sun is hot. Okay? And the effect of the sun being hot, my ice cream melted. So that is the effect. So it's hot outside is why something is happening. You know, the cause is why is my ice cream melting? It's because the sun is hot out today. Cause and effect. And we all have causes and effects in our life every single day. So what I want you to think about is place your core values on every aspect of your life. So what's the big question? So I want you to take note of these. And again, I'm going to post this on YouTube, the PowerPoint presentation. I'm also going to upload it to my Facebook. And that's, you know, Faith Fulton, and you can just go to Faith Fulton on Facebook. But I want to put some questions to you, and you can write these down. These are not original questions from me, but they are questions that I thought about and I thought would be of interest to you from Teal Swan. And I want to present these questions to you. So, how do you discover your core values is one of the questions. How do you discover your core values? You want to think about the times in your life where there was complete happiness. Think about the times in your life where there was complete happiness. Number 2, what factors influence your happiness and why? Number 3, when you were the most confident of yourself, why were you the most confident of yourself? Number 4, when did you feel most significant and why? When did you feel most significant and why? Number 5, looking at your life now, what makes you the most hopeless and why? Looking at your life now, what makes you the most hopeless and why? Number 6, what aspirations or wants are missing from your life and why? What aspirations and wants are missing in your life and why? Number 7, name the aspects of your life that makes you content and why. Name the aspects of your life that makes you content and why. Number 8, who's in your current life that has meaning and why? Who's in your current life that has meaning and why? Number 9, if you had $500,000 just to design the perfect life for yourself, what would that look like and why? So if I gave you $500,000, or let's say if I gave you $1 million today, and I say to you, I want you to take this $1 million and design the perfect life for yourself, what would that look like? And ask yourself, why would it look like that? We're still talking about what are core values and what are your core values. Number 10, ask yourself what personal qualities you want to bring to your current life and why. How would you behave in contrast to the old version of yourself and why? What would you get out of being the new you and why? What is the best part of your ideal future life and why? What would be the best part of your ideal future and why? What would make you the most proud and the most fulfilled and have the most meaning and why? So, again, I want you to think about all of those questions. What are the core values? Developing a system of alignment and writing down those core values, prioritizing those core values, what makes sense to you in your life. And I want you to go back and think about the questions that I asked you. And understanding that having a set of core values is the single most important thing that you can have in your life to set the foundation of where you want to go and where you want to be and who you want to be in your life. And if you don't have core values in your life, you're going to always be miserable. You're going to always try to figure out which way to go. You're going to always be indecisive. You won't be able to make good decisions because you don't have a set of core values. Core values is so important to where we're going in life. My core values are going to be always different from your core values, or they may be similar to my core values. Your core values may be similar to mine. Mine may be similar to yours. It doesn't matter. As long as you are committed and as long as you are dedicated and as long as you have contentment in what your core values are, you can have a happy life. So this is the discussion from the day from Blue Swan News. This is Faye speaking to you today, and I hope you got something out of what we discussed today about what are core values. The next time that I meet with you, I'm going to be talking about prioritizing your core values. We all have to prioritize our lives in these days and times. So we have to prioritize our core values in a way that is effective and efficient. We have to make changes in our lives. Our old life is gone. My old life is gone, never to be recovered. And I don't want my old life back. I want a new life. And so I am looking so forward to seeing what life holds for me in my new core values, because I have a whole brand new set of core values that is important to Faye, that's important to me. Most of my life has always been important to everyone else that was in my life. But now is the time for my core values to be important to me, to discovering who I am, to believe in myself, and to know that I can do it, and to know that I have the confidence through God and through the ability that He has given me as a person to establish myself once again. We're going to get deep with this, and we're going to be talking about some very deep and personal things. And I'm not going to be ashamed in sharing with you my experiences and what I've gone through in life. And I hope that you can glean something from what I want to share with you. And it's not about putting my personal business out there. It's not about telling on someone else. It's about me sharing the pain and suffering and the recovering that I'm going through in my life. That's going to be so wonderful. So thank you for being with me today. And I welcome you back to Blue Swan News. And I hope that I've given you some insight and shared some things with you today that's positive and that you can take with you today and make it a part of your life. Thank you and have a great day. Bye for now.